Today, I'm going to reveal the fastest way for you to increase your ability to generate wealth. And it's not what most people think. Most people try to go out there and make more money, which usually guarantees they stay poor or at least where they're at right now. Because the number one key, the fastest way to accelerate your wealth is not trying to make more money. It's removing the limiting beliefs and the blocks you have around wealth and abundance. So I know this to be true because I've made tens of millions of dollars myself. I've lost it. I know how to make it again. And it's not down to the business, the opportunity, or the side hustle. It's down to the mindset. And in this video, what I want to do is share with you the 3 fastest ways to clear your unconscious money blocks so that you can open up more abundance in your life. Let's dive in. Okay, so let's start with the most important part, and that is shifting your mindset. Now, we've all heard about shifting mindset. What does it actually mean as it relates to money? Well, it's not about shifting your mindset as such. It's about shifting your relationship to what you think money is. And that is a big game changer because most people externalize money. They make it a thing, like time. If you externalize time, then you're always trying to chase it or commoditize it, which means you're trying to make more of it or you're trying to get more out of it. You can't. You can't control time or manage time any more than you can control the current of a river while you're swimming in it. And guess what? It's the same for money. The only place in the universe that money means anything is in the mind of a human. So what is it actually, other than pieces of paper with dead people on it and shiny metal or hard rocks? Well, money itself is an effect, an effect of adding value, an effect of your energy going out to the world to wanting to serve. And how most people have the mindset of money is about how do I get? How do I go out and take? And if you have a mindset that comes from scarcity or lack, or you're struggling to pay your bills, it's almost guaranteed you're going to be going out into the world to try to get money, and that is putting the cart before the horse. You see, when it comes to you wanting to attract wealth, when it comes to you having a better relationship, a mindset of understanding money, abundance, and true wealth, then one has to realize that money is an effect of your ability to relate to the world in a way where you are wanting to add value. You are wanting to bring the best of who you are and understand there is unlimited amounts of money for those that have that mindset. Well, it's all right for you, you've already got money. Well, I've had times where I've had zero money. And in those times, the most important asset that I had wasn't my bank account or lack of it. It was my understanding that money itself is an effect of how I relate to the world. I look at nature and I see abundance in action. How many apples does an apple tree produce? How many blades of grass are there in a field? How many eggs do fish lay, for example? Nature provides an overabundance of everything. And if you're going out scarcity trying to find something by turning over rocks or looking under things, looking under business opportunities, turning over different ideas, trying to find money, you're always going to come at it from scarcity. When you realize that money is an renewable, unlimited resource that grows from the mind of a human being, you start to understand what I'm saying when you shift your relationship to understanding what it is. Money is not a thing. It doesn't exist outside of your mind. Cash, gold, stocks, credit is all a construct that we've created in order to measure perceived value. And when you start thinking of money in those terms, you stop chasing the strength in the gym and you start focusing on lifting the weights. See, when you go out and you're sitting in front of a cold fire and you say, oh, give me some heat, then I'll fetch you some wood. That's how most people are in the world when it comes to, oh, give me some money and then I'll be happy. Or give me some money and then I'll figure out a way to live a better life. No. If you say, I'm going to go out and find out a way where I can add value to the world. I can focus on money being as abundant as oxygen that I breathe. I just need to tune into it. As the great Wayne Dyer said, abundance isn't something you acquire. It's a mindset that you tune into. That opens up the channel for you to start noticing opportunities, to meeting the right people, to creating the value. And then money starts showing up, just as heat starts showing up when you chop the wood, just as strength starts showing up when you lift the weights. When you shift your mindset towards money from something you chase to something that you generate, that's when you clear the first and most important block as it stumbles your wealth creation in that level of understanding. However, there is no point in clearing and working on your mindset unless you tie it in with key number 2. And key number 2 is taking aligned action or inspired action. Now, what's the difference between just taking action versus taking aligned action with that mindset? Well, a lot of people are taking action, but most people are busy being broke. And what it means is when you want to actually align your actions with your new beliefs, you've got to take new actions. Here's a few that I can suggest for you. The first one, when it comes to shifting your beliefs around money and aligning with it, is being able to actually have money on you at all times. Now, this is a great little trick, especially if you're struggling for money. Taking $100, 200, 500 if you can afford it, and having it in your wallet or your purse at all times, not to spend, but just to have the proximity around the money that you can feel that you've got some. A lot of the times people feel that lack or scarcity when they open their wallet and there's nothing in there, or they're down to their last couple of notes. Using a €50 note or a $100 bill or something as a bookmark for when you're reading, having money around, things like that, just remind you unconsciously that money is your friend, that money is around, that you are about a life of having money in your proximity. That's going to help shift some of those beliefs that we talked about in the previous block. And certainly it's going to tie in with our next and most critical core focus as well. But we'll get to that shortly. What other actions can you take? Well, what about being able to give money from a place of being in alignment with your abundance? Now, we've had so many people talk about this, from spiritual masters, but when we talk about things like tithing, giving a percentage of your income away, a lot of people are resistant to that. They're resistant to it because they're coming from that scarcity that they don't have enough, so how can they give it away? Charity begins at home. Or they do it reluctantly, which is against all of the energetic principles. Victor Bock uses a term called glad giving. And glad giving is where you take a percentage of your money, it could be 1%, but you willingly and gladly give it away because you recognize that when money is energy, it has to circulate. Think of it like breathing. There is an abundance of oxygen on this planet. You never have to pay for it. You never have to worry about not having enough unless you're underwater. And most people are financially underwater and they're holding their breath, rather than coming above the surface and just being able to breathe. But imagine walking around a park and you're so in scarcity around oxygen that every breath you take, you try to keep hold of it. That's how most people relate to money. They don't understand that in order for wealth to build, it has to circulate. When you realize that money is an energetic expression of your value, when you're trying to shut down your value by holding on to your money, you're not making room for more money to come into your life. So when it comes to taking inspired or aligned action, what is it something you can do to gladly give a small amount? And 1% is fine if that's where you have to start in order to get comfortable. The one thing I will definitely say when it comes to the spiritual or religious practice of tithing is you cannot outgive God. When it comes to you wanting to be able to do something good with that money, the key aspect of that action is the intention behind it. If your intention is one of, I've got to give this away so hopefully I can make more, and you have that energetic level of reluctance, guilt, scarcity, or trying to game the system, it's going to backfire. So being able to surround yourself with money, being able to use money, whether it's bookmarks, whether it's having it a $100 bill pinned to your top of your computer screen, or behind your phone battery, or whatever it is, so you've always got money on you, and whether it's giving it so you can keep that circulation going, taking inspired action. Being thankful for when you buy something and giving that money out, and thankful for when you receive it, is really going to start to shift your actions and beliefs to be in alignment. Okay, so now you've shifted your mindset and you've taken aligned and inspired action around money. Let's move to the part that's the most critical and the one that most people get wrong. And that is releasing the blocks that you have specifically tied to the emotional charges that are linked to your past limiting and conditioned beliefs. Now, it may sound like a mouthful, but let me demonstrate why this is so critical and why so many people get it wrong. It's like going out as an athlete to sprint in the race without doing the warm-up. You're going to get injured. If you're going out in the race to try to become wealthy and you haven't done the warm-up, you haven't got rid of the lactic acid, you haven't prepared yourself properly, you're going to fail. And that's what almost everybody carries with them when it comes to deep-seated, unconscious, limiting beliefs that cause emotional turmoil around the entire principle of becoming wealthy. Now, I'm not talking about the front part of the brain that says, I want more money, I deserve more money, I work harder than anybody else that I know. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the human body, the human brain, is conditioned from 0 to 7 to not have critical thinking. And what it really means is that as children, we walk around in a state of hypnosis, accepting everything that we experience, which means, for example, if you saw mum and dad fighting or arguing over money, anytime from 0 to 7 or 8 years old, you will have an unconscious aversion to money because you will link it to a lack of psychological safety or love. If you saw mum and dad telling you that you can't have the toy because there isn't enough or you haven't been good enough, you will equate money to being only for those people that are told that they're good enough, which virtually nobody is growing up. If you experienced lack or scarcity in your household, then that becomes the norm for you. And a lot of the time we feel if we get too much, we are undeserving. If you saw your mum and dad working 3 different jobs, 50, 60 hours a week just to get by, you will have a belief that you have to work hard for money. And if money comes to you easily, you'll find a way to let it slip through your fingers. Having the emotional, unconscious limiting beliefs around money rule your financial life is what stops most people from attracting wealth. So how do you get rid of that? I'll give you a very quick way to start digging down so you can uproot those beliefs. The first one is to identify them. For most people, they are unconscious. For most people, they have a way of being able to look in the outer world chasing money while ignoring the inner blocks that are going on that have shaped their current financial reality. So ask yourself, what do I believe about money? What limiting beliefs do I have? Do I believe that money is the root of all evil? Right? Do I believe that money is for people who do things against others? Well, if you come from any kind of spiritual or Christian background, that's a common belief. The love of money is the root of all evil. Well, if you break that down, you'll start to understand that is not what was said or not what was taught. If you go to the Greek, there are 5 different words that represent what we use or translate as love. So we know money isn't the root of all evil because without money you couldn't have hospitals or you couldn't do good things for the world. But the love of money, if you go back to the original translation, the word love was actually one of the 5 words that actually meant worship, meaning the worship of money is the root of all evil. And now you can start to see if money is your God, then you're going to be compromising your values, and that's the etymology of that phrase. So if you grew up thinking money's the root of all evil, the love of money's the root of all evil, you're going to be damned to hell if you start making money. Whereas if you don't know that that belief is running, it's going to continue to run you. So what happens when we identify them? Ask yourself a better question. Questions are the steering wheel of the mind. They direct our focus. What if you were to ask, is that belief still true for me? The beliefs we had at 10 years old, some people still have when they're 40 years old. Now, what would happen if you were wearing clothes that you had at 10 years old in your 40s? You'd look pretty silly. Well, wearing this belief system that most people still have makes their life look pretty silly. So is this belief still true for me? And if it isn't, ask yourself, What could be a better belief I could adopt now that is more in alignment with my new thoughts and my new inspired actions? Oh, I deserve money because I know how to add value. I'm a great person. I know that nature's natural expression is abundance, and I'm a part of God's expression of nature, so therefore I should have abundance. That's a far better belief than thinking, oh, only rich people that harm others or take advantage of people are the ones that get money, or there's not enough money to go around. We're living in a time in human history where there's more money, more available to more classes of people than has ever existed in the past. Sure, 400-500 years ago, if you were born into England, for example, in the feudal system, you could be entrepreneurial. You could be all about adding value. You could have the greatest mathematical money-making mind on the planet. But if you were born a peasant and your father and your mother worked in the fields for the landlord, you were never ever going to join the class of the elite. Some people still harbor that as their destiny or part of their DNA. No, today, none of that applies. You can be a kid in India with access to an iPhone and learn how to make money online, and that has never been available. So there are no excuses anymore other than looking in the mirror and dealing with the blocks that stop people from becoming wealthy. Having the wrong relationship to money, having the actions that don't align with that, and more importantly, clearing your past limiting beliefs by doing that audit and asking better questions. So if you do those, you are already far on track. Now, if you want to do those on your own, I've given you enough to go and work with, and I send you my blessing to go out and take on the world of being more wealthy, because it's an amazing game to play when you know the rules. If you would like some help with that, from people that know how to play and win that game and can help people across that bridge from scarcity to abundance and really implement everything I've been sharing with you, then book a call, speak to one of my team, and we'll figure out how we can help you become more wealthy, have that mindset, take advantage of opportunities, clear up the limiting beliefs. Or if you'd like to see how far the rabbit hole goes and go a little deeper, click the second link and watch the video where I break down what are the next steps in the game when it comes to being able to shift your identity around money. Click one of those two links now, and I'll see you on the other side.